Continuing from the previous episode 1570. The Central Territory. This is an extremely huge territory. In the Central Territory, there are countless powerful forces, and at this time, these forces are all bursting with ecstasy. For nothing else, it is because of the acacia tree. Acacia tree, the power of acacia is unpredictable, and even if one can enter the inside of the acacia tree, it can obtain benefits that ordinary people cannot imagine. Therefore, the entire Central Territory has become restless, because they are all pregnant with that. A little bit of luck, after all, being able to spy on the opportunities in the acacia tree is probably enough for them to become disciples in the 4 great courts and enjoy endless benefits. Listen to the Wind Pavilion. My lord, this trip doesn't seem right. In the Tingfeng Pavilion, its pavilion owner and manager slowly stood in the hall, and the two frowned as if they were arguing about something. Needless to say, the chance in the acacia tree is extremely important, and I must go. Yang Shi said with a gloomy expression. My lord, I have just had a grudge with the 10,000 Fire Sect, and although our overall strength is a little bit more tyrannical than them, if you go to the land of the acacia tree like this, and you also take away many strong sects, once the 10,000 Fire Sect attacks come on, I'm afraid our sect's situation is in jeopardy. The pavilion master of Tingfeng Pavilion refused, although their sect is a little more tyrannical than Wanwo sect, but if they really fight, I'm afraid it's hard to say who wins and who loses. Don't worry, according to the information I got, the Myriad Fire Sect also sent strong people, so they didn't have the time and extra troops to attack us. This trip to the acacia tree, we will naturally get a lot of benefits. At that time, not to mention the mere 10,000 Fire Sect, even the top forces in the Central Territory are enough to squeeze in. So the pavilion owner doesn't need to panic. Yang Shi naturally knew what this guy was afraid of, but he didn't say much. Oh, well, after some struggles, the pavilion master of Tingfeng Pavilion could only give up. It's not too late, leave now, otherwise it will be too late, and the benefits will be snatched away by the powerhouses of other sects. After a while, Yang Shi smiled. As soon as the words fell, Yang Shi took nearly 30% of the strong men in the Tingfeng Pavilion towards the acacia tree, and the trip was powerful, one for the acacia tree, and the other for beheading Xiao Xiao. Yan and the two, but he did not expect that the news that Wan Huo's sect sent a strong man to the acacia tree was just a cover, and the purpose was to lure this guy into the bait. Qingyun Pavilion. Sir, the acacia tree is here, shall we go? In the hall, Qingyang Qingfeng asked Qing Yunkin, who was above the first place. Qingfeng had been beaten by Xiao Yan in a very embarrassing manner, and even the few disciples who had lost their minds in the pavilion could not be healed now. Don't go. Although the acacia tree is precious, the shame that Wan Wozong gave us is difficult to wash away. This time, once the strong people of Wan Wozong leave the sect, we will immediately take action to wipe out their sect. The voice just fell, and suddenly here become quiet. In the courtyard, in a rather elegant attic, a man slowly took his seat. Here, it is Ling Yu's mansion. After all, Ling Yu is very talented. In addition to the 4-star Dushan perfection and the existence of a half-field, his status is also among the best in the entire courtyard. It's unbelievable that the guy from Qingyun Pavilion would actually be defeated by Xiao Yan, who was in the late Samsung Do Xian. Ling Yu muttered to himself as he stared blankly at the void in the distant Central Territory through the mansion. Hee, I told you a long time ago. Don't think Xiao Yan is a soft persimmon. This guy has holy flames, and fighting methods emerge in an endless stream, although it is only the strength of the late 3-star fighting immortal, but facing some early 4-star fighting immortals. A strong person of the same level is not weak at all. In an instant, an evil aura suddenly emerged from Ling Yu's body. Humph! No matter how he jumps, in my eyes, he's just a jumping clown. This time when he goes to the acacia tree, I will personally take action to destroy the 10,000 Fire Sect. It just so happens that he doesn't have a brother Xiao Gui, so let him exchange holy flame for his brother's life. Ha ha ha! A strange smile appeared on the corner of Ling Yu's mouth, and it didn't go away for a long time. If it wasn't for the prohibition of the underground courtyard from being able to participate in this acacia tree battle, I'm afraid he would have already taken action. At the same time, in the Central Territory, there are many sects who are also planning intensively, trying to go to the land of the acacia tree. Among the top forces in the Central Territory, the 4 major forces are the main ones. Different Soul K, This is a force that focuses on cultivating the power of the soul. Its subordinate song Langfang has reached the fairyland soul and the middle stage of the 4-star fighting fairy at a young age, which is the biggest obstacle to this acacia tree battle. Meteor Sect, Hu Tianyuan, is extremely powerful, and a pair of meteor hammers are extremely powerful, and they are the strength of the middle stage of the 4-star fighting immortals. Bingwofu, Kongen, a strong man who can control both ice and fire although only has the fire attribute. As for the last one, it is Ling Yu's disciple, Qi Ziwen under the Blood Flame Cave. He has a strange fire element, a terrifying fighting power, and has Ling Yu behind his back, vaguely wanting to occupy the central domain. A sign. These 4 guys are among the top powerhouses in the Central Territory today. In addition to this, Yu Redding link to www.yukanshu.com still has many forces going to the acacia tree, but compared with these 4 guys, it is undoubtedly a lot worse. In the middle of the Central Territory, Soul Valley, this place was originally just a barren land that no one cared about. There are many soul beasts in the valley, and it is extremely dangerous, but with the emergence of the acacia tree, it is also slowly surrounded by many strong people. The overall range in the valley is tens of thousands of meters, but there is a pink halo slowly lingering at the core, and in the halo, a very strange energy is quietly permeating. Immediately, within 1,000 meters of the core of Soul Valley was completely shrouded in a pink and extremely special acacia power, and the soul beast's strength increased greatly under the increase of this special acacia power, so he wanted to enter the acacia tree. The land became difficult, even a 4-star fighting immortal powerhouse could not hold on for long, and could only retreat for no reason. Immediately outside the Valley of Souls, there is a 0-hour market. Here, many artisans and daring people ventured into the valley and collected a lot of good things from the valley to sell. These things, I don't know what it is useful for, but with the advent of the acacia tree, it was auctioned at a high price in this 0-hour market. After all, these things must have some strange connections with the acacia tree. Continuing from the previous episode 1571. Do not miss passing through. Acacia liquid, the peerless divine water of the flesh and bones of the living dead. The Netherstone. I got it from the inside of the acacia tree after all the hardships, don't miss it when you pass by. Quote. In the 0-hour market, there were endless shouts. Cut. It's really relying on the limelight of the acacia tree to come here and make a fortune. Xiao Yan walked on the other side of the 0-hour market, constantly searching for something strange, so listening to these shouts, he couldn't help rolling his eyes and said, "These things in front of them are clearly ordinary things, but at this time they have actually carried them to sky-high prices." 0-hour market, this is an open space at the very edge of Soul Valley. It is strange to say that the power of lovesickness is extremely strange, covering a kilometer range, but this place is not affected by the power of lovesickness, and immediately it has been developed by many powerhouses and formed a natural protection area. It also provides a trading place for powerhouses who try to enter the acacia tree. In the open space, a seemingly shrewd powerhouse divides this place. Many strong people choose to live here, and there are many treasures here. Of course, most of these treasures are in a dusty state. Whether they can be discovered or not depends on their ability. What? Fire phoenix grass? After a while, Xiao Yan stopped in front of a booth, slightly surprised. Stinky boy, I have treasures here. If you don't have enough capital, don't act rashly. Just when Xiao Yan squatted down, the middle-aged man guarding the booth snorted coldly. Fire phoenix grass. This thing can only be formed by absorbing the blood of the phoenix. How can there be such a precious thing here? Xiao Yan ignored the stall owner's words, squatted down and slowly looked at the medicinal materials in front of him. The fire phoenix grass shimmered with golden luster all over its body, and its leaves were about 4, but each piece seemed to contain some kind of special magic power, and this medicinal material was enough to refine a 5th-grade immortal-level medicinal pill, which made Xiao Yan quite shocked. Senior, how do you sell this column of medicinal materials? After a while, Xiao Yan stood up and said to the middle-aged man in front of him. 10 million. The middle-aged man frowned, first glanced at Xiao Yan, then at the golden grass below, and immediately said. Naturally, he didn't know what this golden grass was, so he would sell it. Otherwise, if he knew it was a phoenix grass, he would probably not sell it if he was killed. After all, the value of the phoenix grass is only in gold coins. Measured, I am afraid it is not impossible to auction hundreds of millions of sky-high prices. 10 million? Xiao Yan heard the words and couldn't help but look shocked and said in surprise. Senior, I only shot this grass after seeing it, 1 million. Xiao Yan pouted. As an old Zhonghu, Xiao Yan naturally knows that if he lets others see that he is interested in this thing, I'm afraid that these guys will raise its value to a sky-high price. Boy, don't think I don't know what you're up to. I risked getting this thing from the inside of Soul Valley, and its value will definitely not be low. Seeing Xiao Yan's shocked expression, the middle-aged stall owner also said slowly. Forget it. Xiao Yan heard the words and got up to leave. Ah, come back. 1 million is 1 million. After a while, the middle-aged stall owner also had no choice but to make a deal with Xiao Yan. After all, if this kind of thing can be sold for 1 million, it is already very good. What is this? 1 million, let's add this leaf. He took out the crystal card and gave the gold coin to the middle-aged stall owner. Suddenly Xiao Yan's eyes lit up, and his palm lightly brushed over a leaf placed on the edge of the stall. Said, no, this thing is not easy. 1 million gold coins can only buy the immortal grass just now. If your excellency is interested in this leaf, I will not sell it if it is less than 100 million gold coins. After the rest, the middle-aged man directly gave the grass to Xiao Yan, only however, the blade was solemnly protected by it. This leaf is completely dull, about the size of a finger, and has an oval shape with lines like flowing water. It is extremely strange, and it is such a leaf that is worth 100 million gold coins. 100 million gold coins? Senior, this is a bit of a lion's mouth. Xiao Yan put away the fire phoenix grass, and then looked at the leaf casually. With his tyrannical soul power, he was able to smell a special fluctuation from the dull leaves. This fluctuation seems to have something to do with the acacia tree that appeared at the core of Soul Valley at this time. Little guy, I don't know what use this blade is for, but it can make me a dignified 4-star Do Xian perfect powerhouse almost gone. I dare to conclude that the value of this blade is definitely not cheap. So, 100 million gold coins, definitely not a loss. After a while, the middle-aged stall owner smiled slowly, his voice full of treacherousness. This leaf was obtained when he entered the depths of Soul Valley and was 100 meters away from the pink halo of the acacia tree. At the moment of obtaining it, the pink halo burst into an extremely tyrannical wave that almost wiped him out completely. The ability to press the bottom of the box escaped. At this point, he never dared to step into the Soul Valley again, just because he had been unable to decipher these strange things obtained from the Soul Valley, so he could only take it out for auction. 100 million gold coins is too much, it's cheaper. After all, this thing is like gambling, no one knows what is inside. Seeing that the middle-aged stall owner refused to take a step back, Xiao Yan said, 100 million gold coins, I bought it. After a while, Xiao Yan's voice hadn't fallen, and suddenly a woman in colorful clothes appeared directly in front of Xiao Yan, and then took out a piece of considerable weight. Jinka threw it in front of the middle-aged stall owner and said domineeringly, "This is Song Langfeng from the different Soul Tower?" Xiao Yan raised his head, and there was a vigilance in his expression. Obviously, since he came to the 0-hour market, the names and figures of the 4 powerhouses have been spread by everyone. Hey, this little brother, if you need it, please increase the price, otherwise this thing will only be sold to this woman. The middle-aged stall owner suddenly smiled when he heard the words. Forget it. Xiao Yan shook his head, then turned and left here, preparing to head towards Soul Valley. This leaf must have something to do with the acacia tree, but now Xiao Yan doesn't have 100 million gold coins on him, and he doesn't have any bargaining chips to compete with, so he just gave up. Miss, this is the blade you auctioned off. This leaf is very special, and I don't know what it's used for, but I'm afraid it has a lot to do with the acacia tree. The middle-aged man carefully wrapped the leaf and handed it to Song Langfeng, smiling. This guy is the recently rumored Myriad Fire Sex Management. Xiao Yan. She took the leaf, checked it again and again, and immediately left the 0-hour market. At the same time, she followed Xiao Yan. There are some things she must do, making sure. Continuing from the previous episode 1572. After leaving the 0-hour market, Xiao Yan walked cautiously towards the depths of Soul Valley. The interior of the Soul Valley is poor, the mountains and forests are endless, and the ghost beasts that haunt faintly are even more tyrannical. With that weird pink halo, the Soul Valley becomes extremely dangerous. At this time, the acacia tree seems to have not completely arrived, just a pink halo emerges, and the acacia tree seems to be wrapped in a pink halo and stands at the core of Soul Valley. Cece, leaving the 0-hour market and came to the edge of Soul Valley. Without the protection of the 0-hour market, a pink halo shone on Xiaoyan's body, and Xiaoyan only felt a strange itch coming from his heart. This strange itch is extremely difficult to resolve, even if Xiaoyan exerts his soul power, spiritual power, and even vindictiveness, he can't eliminate it, and Xiaoyan vaguely knows that as he approaches the depths of the Soul Valley, this pink halo will appear. Even if it becomes more intense, the strange itching is also more intense. The strange itching is extremely unbearable, like a knife twisted in one's body, but cannot be caught and resolved. Damn. After struggling, Xiaoyan found that he couldn't solve the strange itch, and immediately shook his head. After speaking, he forcibly endured the anomaly, penetrated the cover of many trees, and headed towards the depths of the Soul Valley. Little guy, be careful, this should be some means set up by the acacia tree to protect itself. The power of acacia is strange and abnormal, even I don't know the solution. After a while, the Lord of Soul Eater said, "This kind of itch is extremely strange, and there is no way to solve it. I am afraid that it will die from the itch so close to the core of Soul Valley. It seems that I have to think of something." Xiaoyan heard the words and shook his head secretly. Xiaoyan met for the first time. Wang buzzing. After a while, the Shengen heart on Xiaoyan's chest seemed to sense the itch in Xiaoyan's body, and it suddenly jumped violently, and then a trace of soft power appeared quietly, so it slowly resolved Xiaoyan tormented. Ying. Seeing this, Xiaoyan slowly touched his chest with both hands, and a trace of relief slowly emerged. It's strange to say that when Shengyan's heart made strange fluctuations, the abnormality in Xiaoyan's body gradually weakened and even disappeared. At this time, Xiaoyan's mind was also slowly emerging because of Shengyan's heart. Yingying's playful appearance. Hey! In an instant, a rapid burst of sound suddenly emerged from the hidden trees in the distance, and shot towards Xiaoyan. Who? Get out of here! Seeing this, Xiaoyan's dazzling soul power turned into a giant snake of energy, whizzing away towards the surroundings. Crash! As soon as the soul force fought, a figure suddenly emerged from the shadows. It really is the soul power of the fairyland level. The woman just showed up, and immediately retracted all her attacks, and immediately smiled at Xiaoyan. Different soul tower song Langfeng? Seeing this, Xiaoyan frowned. It was obvious that this guy had just competed with him for the strange leaves, and he would fight against him again. This different soul K can be used as a force at the level of the hegemony of the Central Territory, and its disciples must be extraordinary. Xiaoyan, right, don't get me wrong, I'm not your enemy. On the contrary, I have a good deal here. I wonder if you are willing to cooperate? After a while, Song Langfeng looked at Xiaoyan with beautiful eyes and said softly, "Trade? Let's hear it." Xiaoyan nodded when he heard the words. Song Langfeng's soul power was extremely strong, and his strength had reached the level of the middle stage of the 4-star fighting immortals. For Xiaoyan, he was a formidable enemy. Now that the acacia tree is coming into existence, the Earth Court is forbidden to participate in this acacia tree battle, and now in the Central Territory, only our 4 major forces occupy the absolute dominance. Other forces want to enter the land where the acacia tree descends, but there are many difficulties. It can be said unceremoniously that apart from the powerhouses of our 4 major forces, other powerhouses do not seem to have the opportunity to enter the depths of the Soul Valley to approach the acacia tree. Song Langfeng laughed. Then what? Xiaoyan heard and continued to ask, if this Song Langfeng was just here to play Ma Wei, then I'm afraid she has found the wrong person. In the depths of the Soul Valley is the place where the acacia tree came. Now the acacia tree has not completely arrived, but this strange acacia power has blocked most of the strong. In addition to the shots of our 4 major forces, now we are the only ones who can enter the depths of Soul Valley. And in the depths of the Soul Valley, there is a river. The river is extremely strange. No one can step into it. Even the other methods of escaping are useless. Only the power of the soul is useful. I heard that you have a fairyland soul, and now that you see it, it is true. If you want, I can take you directly to the edge of the acacia tree. In exchange, you have to help me decipher that weird river. As for the ownership of the acacia tree, it's up to you." After a while, Song Langfeng smiled sweetly. "No problem. Please lead the way." Xiao Yan was overjoyed when he heard this. After all, in this soul valley, with the blessing of acacia, the power of those soul beasts will become more powerful. If Xiao Yan walks around here alone, maybe it will waste a lot of precious time. And the powerhouses of the four major forces may have already cleared a way to enter the depths of the soul valley. It is a time-saving and labor-saving thing. Why not do it? I warn you in advance, don't play tricks. The acacia tree can only be owned by our soul K. As soon as he finished speaking, Song Lan turned into a stream of light, heading towards the depths of the soul valley. Xiao Yan followed closely, but Xiao Yan discovered that Song Langfeng's movement route had cleverly avoided the traces of many powerful soul beasts in Soul Valley, so he came directly to the core of Soul Valley. Soul Valley Core. At this time, there are already 3 men standing here. The 3 men's figures are all standing on the ground, and their eyes are all looking up at the pink light group hanging high not far away. Look, in the light group, a strong acacia power is even more powerful. At the same time, in front of him, there is a flat land. The flat land is about 100 meters, but at this time a circular river completely cuts off the core of the plain, and the pink light group is the land wrapped by the river. Directly above, acacia tree, the figures of Xiao Yan and Song Langfeng came here one after the other, and Xiao Yan couldn't help but said. Xiao Yan knew clearly that in the pink light group was the so-called acacia tree, but it just didn't come. But before the acacia tree came, the flat ground and the river seemed to be something they had to solve. Continuing from the previous episode 1573. Langfeng, who is this? After a while, following the figures of Song Langfeng and Xiao Yan on the flat ground, a straight, handsome man with a huge meteor hammer behind his back slowly turning his head, he asked. Although Xiao Yan's strength was weak, it made one's heart chill. Obviously, this guy is not an ordinary person. This is Xiao Yan, Song Langfeng said casually, as if taking Xiao Yan as a collaborator with no other meaning. Xiao Yan? As soon as Song Langfeng's voice fell, Qi Ziwen's indifferent gaze suddenly retracted from the pink light group, and a wave of hatred immediately emerged, staring fiercely at Xiao Yan. Is this guy also with Qingyun Pavilion? Seeing this, Xiao Yan immediately smelled an unfriendly aura from Qi Ziwen, and this aura seemed to be exactly the same as Qing Yunkin and the others, so he couldn't help frowning. Qi Ziwen, Xiao Yan is the helper I invited to solve the strange river. If you touch him, you will become an enemy of my foreign soul. You have to think clearly about the consequences. Qi Ziwen looked at Xiao Yan intently. Song Langfeng beside him Day's eyes flickered slightly, and she said, she naturally knew about Xiao Yan and Qingyun Pavilion, and behind this sect, there is the protection of the Blood Flame Cave. This Qingyun Pavilion sect was acted by Xiao Yan. This is the Black Hand behind them. Of course, is also outrageous. Huh. Qi Ziwen snorted coldly when he heard the words, and looked away. He knew that now is not the time to settle personal grievances. The most urgent task now is to solve the strange river in front of him and let the acacia tree come down completely. As for other things, later say it again. The 4 of them represent the top powerhouses of the younger generation in the Central Territory today. Even though they are only mid-stage 4-star fighting immortals, the powerhouses who have fallen into their hands are not without some old monsters in the late 4-star fighting immortal stage. The news of the acacia tree attracted countless disciples from the central region, but they were all forcibly driven out by these 4 people. With the help of the forces behind them, the other powerhouses could only be miserable, so they could only live in looking for something useful outside of this core. Although most of the strong men were driven away, on the plain where the acacia tree descended, it stumped the 4 heavenly favored sons for a while. If you want to crack the secret of the acacia tree, you must let it come completely. At this time, the acacia tree seems to be contained in the pink light group, and you must go to the power to make it come completely. However, on this plane, the strange circular river completely isolated their thoughts. If they wanted to get close to the pink light group, they had to cross the river. The round river completely protects the pink light group, and even the river is extremely strange. Even with their strength, they are indifferent, and in the past few days, there are some brave people trying to crack the river, but he fell directly into the river, and in an instant he became dead. What can this guy do in the late stage of Samsung fighting immortal? After a while, Qi Ziwen couldn't help but let out a trace of disdain. Shut your mouth, Song Langfeng snorted coldly. Obviously, although Xiao Yan's strength is weak, his soul is strong. As long as he can solve this strange river, Song Langfeng naturally doesn't mind protecting him. What's so weird about this river? Xiao Yan ignored Qi Ziwen and asked Song Langfeng beside him. This river seems to contain something that can devour everything. Before, many treasure hunters entered here, trying to fly or escape into the small island in the center of the river, but when they first touched the river, they were completely obliterated, and in an instant there is no bones left, not even the power of the soul. The flyer falls directly, and the evader is also directly submerged. Song Langfeng said with a frown. With her tyrannical soul power, she also found something wrong, but in the end she didn't find the source of the wrong. I'll take a look. Xiao Yan heard the words, walked gently, and then slowly came to the edge of the river. Crash! The river is round as a hole, but it completely wraps the small island that is nearly tens of meters in size inside the river, and the river is bottomless, although the water is extremely clear. What's so weird? Xiao Yan squatted down slowly, wrapping his body with dazzling soul power, so he tried his best to put his ears close to the surface of the water, trying to detect something. Dong dong dong! The ear was close to the surface of the water, but it didn't touch the river water. Suddenly, a sound like thunder sounded suddenly in the ear. Huh? Xiao Yan was shocked when he heard the words, and his body suddenly stood upright, but the moment he just left the river, he saw some tiny crystals floating on the water like sand grains, and the sound of thunder suddenly disappeared. Interesting. After a short while, Xiao Yan seemed to understand something and smiled slowly. Is there any news? Seeing this, Song Langfeng couldn't help but ask. With a few of them, it is natural to thoroughly investigate the river. The water depth seems to be a full 100 meters, but other than that, there is no other gain. This river cannot be resisted hard, it can only be outwitted. Xiao Yan's mouth showed a strange smile, and he immediately laughed. I need a fire attribute powerhouse to help me. After a while, Xiao Yan stared at Qi Ziwen and smiled maliciously. Boy, are you courting death? Qi Ziwen immediately became angry when he heard the words. This boy was obviously avenging his personal revenge. My strength in the late stage of the 3-star fighting immortal, I can't handle that guy. Your Excellency's strength in the middle stage of the 4-star fighting immortal, are you still afraid of me? Xiao Yan asked rhetorically. That thing? Hu Tianyuan on the side heard it and wondered. In this river, they tried their best to search countless times, but no one found anything at all. Humph. What do you need me to do? Qi Ziwen snorted coldly, and walked up very reluctantly. In the river, there is a soul beast, and we need to use the power of flame and soul to force it to appear. After a while, Xiao Yan stared at the flowing river and said, I hope you don't lie to us otherwise, there are 4 strong people here, even if you put your wings, you can't escape. Qi Ziwen smiled. Go! Remember to do your best for a while, and don't let it go. After a few breaths, Xiao Yan closed his eyes and calmed down. A strange trace of soul energy suddenly emerged from the spiritual palace, and then combined with the flame-fighting spirit on his body. The two wrapped around each other and slowly submerged into the water. Following Xiao Yan's actions, the water that had been standing still had undergone some extremely wonderful changes. Quote. 1 minute. 5 minutes. A quarter of an hour. It was still deadly quiet, but there were many beads of sweat on Xiao Yan's forehead. This kid, are you kidding us? Qi Ziwen couldn't help but said immediately. Shush. At this time, Song Langfeng's beautiful eyes were staring at the river, where there seemed to be some creatures that were being attracted by Xiao Yan, so they poured out rapidly. Continuing from the previous episode 1574. Boom! At the moment when Qi Ziwen opened his mouth, the originally clear water in the river suddenly became turbid, and all of a sudden, huge bubbles suddenly emerged from the bottom of the river, and even after the bubbles disappeared, a stench of bones filled the air. Crash! After a sound, several dozen meters of water splashed in the river, and suddenly a behemoth suddenly emerged. Do it! Xiao Yan sweated like rain, and then his figure quickly retreated, and the aura in his body looked extremely weak. It was Xiao Yan's little trick that he became extremely weak after drawing out this guy. After all, The 4 middle-stage 4-star fighting immortals here are naturally the best thugs to deal with this soul beast. Free labor is unnecessary. Crash! The water splash slowly disappeared, and the whole picture of this soul beast emerged in everyone's sight. Crystal Primordial Beast? Among the 4, the only quiet man said in surprise. This guy is Kong-in of the Ice and Fire Mansion. With the combination of ice and water attributes, his combat power is extremely tyrannical. Good guy, it's actually a soul beast that is enough to match the late stage of the enemy's 4-star fighting immortal. Let's do it together. Seeing Xiao Yan lead out this guy, Song Langfeng glanced at him and found that Xiao Yan's breath was weak. Regardless of whether it was true or not, he directly greeted the 4 of them to attack him. It has lost its value, and the acacia tree will also become their palm. Crystal Primordial Beast. This is a kind of soul beast, but unfortunately it is a mutated soul beast. Its existence is extremely special. Usually, it turns into tiny grains of sand that are invisible to the naked eye and hides on the surface of the river. It only manifests when it is burned by powerful soul power and flames, and it likes to devour human corpses and blood most in its life. The soul beast under the main body is like a piece of prismatic crystal, flashing with dazzling rays of light, and its body is like a crystal with uneven layers, and its appearance is rather strange. Hoo-hoo! A loud shout emerged from the prism-shaped crystal block of the Crystal Primordial Beast. It was obviously extremely angry. How could it think that its disguise was actually broken by Xiao Yan? You must know that it was relying on its disguise to stay in the river. Devoured many human powerhouses and increased a lot of strength. Crash! Ice Fire Knife, Soul Heaven Hand, Blood Flame Heaven Finger, Meteor Fist. When the 4 of them saw this guy actually wanted to attack Xiao Yan, and they didn't give any chance. The dazzling fighting chi all over his body suddenly soared. Looking at this battle, it is astonishing to want to completely obliterate it. The 4 powerhouses are indeed well deserved. While recovering his fighting spirit, Xiao Yan carefully stared at these 4 guys and the Crystal Primordial Beast, and found that the 4 powerhouses dealt with the Crystal Primordial Beast quite easily. Wow! As soon as the 4 powerhouses in the middle stage of the 4-star fighting immortal made their move, a terrifying ultimate move emerged, but even so, the Crystal Primordial Beast did not take it for granted. Its attack was diffused. This beast has a strong defensive power. After a short while, Song Langfeng said with a wrinkled eyes. Her tyrannical soul power knew that the attack by the 4 just now did not seem to have caused any substantial damage to it. The attack of soul power and fire power can defeat it. Only by defeating it can we cross the river. In an instant, Xiao Yan snorted coldly in the distance. Damn boy! Qi Ziwen roared at Xiao Yan angrily when he heard the words. Among the 4, only he possessed the hottest fire attribute and Song Langfeng's soul power, but if too much power was wasted on this Crystal Primordial Beast, it might affect their competition for the acacia tree. Do it! Song Langfeng didn't care about anything else. The soul power in his body roared out like a tide, and then directly attacked the Crystal Primordial Beast. Fire! Although Qi Ziwen resented Xiao Yan, but at this time, he could only join forces to make a shot, but the remaining 3 stood quietly by the side. Is this pink light group perched on the acacia tree? Taking a glance at the 3 in the battle, Xiao Yan realized that their victory was only a matter of time, and immediately turned his eyes to the pink light group above the island. Go! The pink light group, about a few meters in size, exudes an extremely terrifying power of lovesickness. Even Xiao Yan's heart palpitations, and the other 4 are also extremely uncomfortable. Long. After a while, the Crystal Primordial Devouring Beast also retreated steadily under the cooperation of Song Langfeng and Qi Ziwen, and there were faint signs of collapse. Kill it! Don't let it escape back into the river, otherwise it will be extremely difficult to draw it out. After a while, the Crystal Primordial Beast also knew that the strength of these people in front of them was far from being able to handle it, so the body swayed, whistling directly towards the river. Where to run? Heavenly soul sound. Seeing this, Song Langfeng slowly closed his beautiful eyes. Immediately, the incomparably tyrannical soul force actually turned into a wave of energy sound from his body, and attacked the Crystal Primordial Beast directly. This soul sound intertwined with soul power seems to contain some strange power. It just emerged, and the body of the Crystal Primordial Devourer suddenly becomes sluggish. Crash! Terrified by such a bright sound, the crystals on the crystal primordial beast suddenly became dull, the breath became extremely weak, and the speed became slower. Rain of fire. Seeing this, Qi Ziwen's whole body was covered in dazzling flames, so it turned into a surging shower of flames, directly closing the retreat of the crystal. Gula Gulu. Until now, the crystal primordial beast seemed to have a sense of fear, and then the light was dimmed. After a while, it shrank into a palm-sized prism, which was obviously rounded. Hoo! Now there shouldn't be any problem. Looking at the gorgeous prismatic crystal block, Qi Ziwen snorted coldly, and looked at the pink light group. Without the obstruction of this strange river, the acacia tree is at your fingertips. Everyone, the strange river has been resolved, and it's up to you to decide who the acacia tree will fall. As soon as he finished speaking, he didn't care to pack up the chips. Qi Ziwen took the lead, his body squirmed like a ghost, directly across the river, facing away from the island in the center. Not good. Follow. When the other three saw this, their speed skyrocketed and they headed towards the island at the same time. Strange, there seems to be something wrong. But Xiao Yan was not as flippant as the four of them. He slowly held the gorgeous chip in his hand, and a trace of gentle power continued to emerge from it, but this trace, the power of silk, actually subtly dissolved the power of lovesickness in Xiao Yan's body. Even in the end, when the four of them walked towards the pink light group one after another, an indescribable heavy feeling suddenly appeared in Xiao Yan's heart. This heavy feeling seemed to emerge from the pink light group. Out!